and welcome to another gameplay review on the Virkayu gameplay channel. And in this one we have Karthus, or Karthus, played by Canyon, or Jungle King. However, he is not really familiar with the first strike tech of Karthus, and so he's playing Dark Harvest. However, this game will be a quick one, so I'm going to have a macro sense of how you go and close games out with Karthus after that 17-minute mark, but we'll first get through this early game because it is the best way to play Karthus and the best way to play any farming jungler. Quintessential guide, if you will. Full room page on your screen. Standard stuff, obviously without Ravenous Hunter, he's forced to go Treasure Hunter, which will give him 550 free cash monies, which is why when you synergize that with First Strike, you're looking at a lot of gold, and it's really good on Karthus. However, statistically, they both do about exactly the same, obviously with Dark Harvest having a significantly higher play rate. Playstyle is on you, but the jungling is not. The playstyle here will show you exactly what to do. Basically, you can just disregard the enemy jungler. You do your own thing, and you win the game. And the nice thing about Karthus and farming junglers, when you play it like this, if you're playing, like an avoidance kind of jungling, where you don't want to run into the enemy jungler, and you simply want to control the game, this is exactly what you want to do. And it starts off with a good, pristine, and beautiful first clear. I'm sorry, you go into practice tool on your chosen champion every single day before you play, couple first clears, look at Phalaris's optimized spreadsheet, copy the best players in the world with fast clears, weave in your auto attacks, your animation cancels, your Qs, your Es. On other champions, do exactly the same thing, because if you can optimize your first clear as a farming jungler in any elo, and you're 10-15 seconds ahead of them on tempo, what are they going to do about it? And that's exactly what we're looking at here. So, we have here Volibear versus a Renekton top lane. Level 2 prior on the Renekton, he goes all in, and you know, as a Volibear main and as someone who just released a Volibear video, I think we can all agree that we are disappointed. But let's watch the Karthus here, because this is the most important thing actually. Let me just go back, because we do want to watch the first clear so you guys can study it. We're kiting out the wolf camp here. We're going to make sure we're hitting our Qs. Obviously, if you're a higher ping champion, player, it's going to be difficult, but you just have to do your best. I'll speak while we sort of look around the map here on the mini-map. You can have a look. Bot lane is currently trading. Top lane obviously died. The most important thing here is if you're against an invading jungler, you know that they might come up to your red here. But we're against the Kayn. We start topside. We're going down. We see him on the Raptor camp here, so no stress. We can kite. We don't need to worry about getting too low or losing that. But look at the time. 2:43. We are done with red. Now, most of you, even on 4 clearing junglers in your elos, would be, finishing Raptors at this point. So this is the speed that Karthus brings to the table, and why that buff was so absolutely disgusting. Is anyone here who thinks he needed the buff? No one with skill thinks he needed the buff, and we are done at basically 302, which is as good as it almost gets. And now we can go gank top lane. So what's the concept here? Full clear in your chosen direction. Start where you want to start. Scan on your approach for the gank. Volibear throws down an E here. We know he has no flash, which means even though... Oh, that's a stupid trade by Renekton. We know Karthus is there. We use a W for armor shred, magic shred, but mostly for the slow in this case, so that the Volibear can get the damage. ISO bonus damage on our Q because no one else is in it. Dead bear, but dead croc. That's all we're looking for. We know now that we have here a bottom lane Kayn. And the thing is, right, when you're farming jungler, and you need to remember all of this, we're going to sequence in this direction, gank, take a crab. If it's another farming jungler, then he's going to sequence in this direction, gank, and take a crab. The thing is, in the 2-minute spawn meta, obviously, this would be up, pretty soon, and this would be up pretty soon. So you could choose to just spam gank top lane and steal his top quadrant. He steals your quadrant. Very uninteractive and boring, but with 2:15, you kind of need to think a bit more dynamically about it. So we see the Kayn in that area. We know he's not going to stick around. We see the trade here by the blue team. Kayn is actually coming through the wall. He was sticking around for that Gromp, but instead, because it's not going to be up, he can just simply look for a gank. However, this gank will compromise his entire clearing tempo. Do I like the fact that he's looking for a gank? Yes. Do I like the fact that he chose to do it against the Karthus? Yeah, it's kind of rough, because Karthus now, yeah, he can just keep sequencing, but he clears so fast, we might as well shadow this. Okay, we're going to look at Canyon's Fog of War knowledge here. You see this? You see this? He's in the Fog of War currently, hiding away so that they cannot see. He can try and bait them in for a trade, and then he can basically counter gank through the lane, even at this early stage. But obviously, once they go on full in, he can move in, and we can try and do something, but we're not really looking to get much going. You're just kind of having a look to see if Kayn maybe is hanging around, and try and push him to go back to base, or at least commit to the gank. If he commits to the gank, then you have item advantage, he dies. If he goes back to base, it's a 3v2 in your favor, and you can carry sequencing right afterwards. Sequencing can be a tough word to say many times in a row. I've said it a lot this week. I had a lot of coaching. Now, Kayn will reset, go here, and go all the way down again. What he can do versus Karthus is know that he's going to carry on this, doing this. So do we do the top quadrant and cut in? Or do we carry on sequencing down? You'll have to make that decision for yourself. But Karthus, look at the speed already. It's 505. We've done our second quadrant, second taker, the blue quadrant at this point. Kayn is way behind because he spent all that time investing in that bottom lane gank, whereas we had a really nice gank on the top lane. And it's good to think about that when you're farming jungle. Which lane is the easiest to gank and the easiest to repeat gank after you finish full clearing? Because that's all you're looking to do here, right? This is perfect farming jungling technique. Full sequence in a good direction. We know this. You got to watch your top laner. If the top laner disappears for, a couple seconds at some point, he's going to ward it. That's why Canyon is scanning this. So while we're chatting about this, in game, you're not really chatting about it, right? So you're looking at the map, watching the laners and seeing where they ward. Flash is still not up because we're timing it, because we would have seen it on that first rotation, which means we can gank again. Once more, stunned, Volibear is 6. This should be 100% a... Oh. I do love me some Volibear damage, and I do love me some Karthus. Yeah. We enjoy. Now, on the other side of the coin, the Kayn did gank bot lane, which is what we expect. But obviously, if we're tracking the CS, you'd see 42 instead of 47. So, he hasn't quite yet done his Krugs. He's now chosen to gank before he takes the Krugs, so then he can fall back to them just to get that equal and opposite play with the Karthus. Now, the benefit of pathing bottom side, the top side is when top lane is gankable, many kills can be gained. It also means that because you sequence so damn quickly already, let's just go do a dragon. If you can always sneak this dragon in this particular situation. However, it's good to look for ganks first. Then we're going to hippity-hoppity this plan, and obviously a Nordless Leona lane is very easy to gank if you've got one of those on your team. And even if you're against another one, it won't really matter. I mean, Flash gets burned, Hextech Flash gets burned. It doesn't matter. This is an absolute free gank. We can try and hit our Qs on Samira, but she's moving around. It's Korean server, even if we have 7 ping. Wind wall activation, Akshan floating from the mid lane. Bollywood skills, gets it, flashes out, and then ease away again. So, good run for the mid, good pry, nice dive, thank you very much. That's what we're playing around. You won't always have that mid laner to clean that up, but that doesn't really matter, right? Because you chunked her, you pushed her out, you've killed her support. Kayn isn't in the area, most likely resetting, going topside again. It's too early for the Herald, so we can fall back to the dragon, no concern. And in terms of atomization spike, obviously we have 270 collected already. So that's... it doesn't feel like a lot, but if it's a couple control wards, it can save you against aggressive junglers like Rengars and so on. And even then, a Rengar going in on a Karthus with exhaust is grieving. And you could always go red smite 100% if you've got double exhaust needs. If you've got a very highly aggressive mid laner, or for example, who might roam into your jungle, like a Katarina and a Rengar. We covered this on my main channel. The red smite and the exhaust can do huge things for you, huge things. Otherwise, blue smite is of course a default to make sure you can keep hitting your Qs and synergize with your W. So, out of base, don't sequence immediately, don't do the dragon immediately, gank it, reward, and keep sequencing. This is especially good when the enemy jungler is sequencing opposite to you and will have reset looking to go down, okay? Even if he was sequencing up, what's he gonna do? You killed his bottom lane. You can coin flip it, but coin flipping a dragon, not always my favorite move. And these are good wards from your mid laner. Just keep track of things. I mean, the Renekton... Oof. This is why good sequencing is so nice. Here we go. I mean, assist, we take. And that's why good sequencing is so important. It puts you in the right position to make the right plays, okay? And yes, reactive pathing. He didn't finish the Krugs. He saw this, he left his Krugs, he went, pushes the wave, thank you very much, and he's gonna go back to the Krugs. Volibear can now look to make a macro play somewhere else. We ult in the meantime and hit the bottom lane while I'm talking about that. So Karthus, by the way, when you're doing this, keep track of the low HP targets. Watch the engages. You see this? Ken is going back to Krugs. He can just watch this and say, okay, I press button, Mega Skill Gaming, and outplayed. We don't see the animation in the replay sometimes, unfortunately. And obviously you get harvest stacks from this. We're at 4 stacks, which isn't a lot, which is why first strike is preferred on a lot of players. You get so rich. You imagine with Treasure Hunter getting a few itemization spikes sooner. Now you imagine with first strike even more so. Basically, you're looking at 1,500 gold at a 15 to 20 minute point if you play really, really well. That's huge, right? That's absolutely huge. And now instead of resetting and resequencing, we see Renekton come back to the top lane, catch the wave, deal with the wave. Volibear's moving up to the top lane. Unlucky. Close Q. Perfect. Okay, so you're sequencing, you're doing, you're rewarding, you're sequencing. The biggest thing that makes this Canyon Karthus so good and him on any farming jungler so good, is that he knows exactly when to cut the map for its bounty. And I don't mean bounties in the cringe sense that we have from the season. I mean the actual bounty of objectives that allow us to win games. You see, this is absolutely perfect. He reactively pressed to take something, pushed away, got more experience, used his ult to kill bot lane, was gonna go to his Krugs, did do his Krugs, sees Renekton pushing and Volibear moving up. Why reset here and go resequence? Who cares even if he takes this? The thing that I need on the map is the Herald. So what I'm gonna do is move with Volibear, unexpectedly repeat gank sooner than Renekton expects, force him to ditch out, have to go back to base again, take this, now I can reset, and now you can resequence. But instead of doing Grump into Wolves, into Raptors, into Krugs again, because you know, we're done with top lane. We're going to go Wolves into Grump, okay? So we can sync up with our Xayah in the bottom lane and then use the Herald here. So not only is he pathing in one direction to give him control, he's using that control to swap the directions whenever he needs for whatever the game needs, right? Perfect. Very well played. Nautilus, you be roaming in the wrong hood. Stunned. Stunned. Kayn flashes, gets exhausted. You're deep within the Karthus. Your soul is viewed by only the Karthus himself, and you die. Well then, there you go. Always a little bit of luck with Karthus, with those situations, but also not really luck, right? See, if that was me, that hitbox hits. If that was me, I'm dead. You guys too, right? But it's Canyon, so he doesn't get hit. Maybe he is lucky. Anyway, the point is, when you have exhaust, plus your E, plus your Q, plus anyone around you, it's so easy to take care of business versus assassins. It's really, really beautiful. Now, we did in theory want to do this, but we do have a lot of time left. So we're not going to force it at this point. Okay, we're actually going to ult here. Burn, baby, burn. We do have Leandries. The next game will have First Strike Harvest Tech. That's why I'm covering both games for you, because they're different, but at the same time, you're still Karthus, right? You play it very, very similarly. You're still looking around the map to use your ult during downtime. So ideally here, this is what we wanted to do. Didn't play out perfectly. We got kind of low, so we don't want to overhang, really. We can just shadow mid lane. Maybe we could do something, maybe not. Finish this quadrant, heal up nicely with our jungle item, and now we can go back to base and do it again. Because the dragon is spawning, and that's what we want. It's true. I know I've been very anti-dragon lately, but that's not because I don't like dragons. If in my world, I get 4 dragons, plus Elder, plus 2 Herald, plus Baron. That is my conquest goal every single game. It should be yours too. I'm just not dying for dragons when I could get a Herald instead. I'm just not dying for dragons when I could farm 4 camps and take his blue side and get 3 quadrant control. You know, that's not worth losing or gaining a dragon for those particular things. You just simply want to control objectives within the flow of the game and not force it so that you're compromising yourself. Now, sequencing isn't yet ready because we're too good. So we back to base, straight to bot lane. We're going to go and kill the ADC. Thank you very much, Leona. Thank you very much, Juicy Juicy. Kane's going to show up here. He's going to regret this, I think. What are you going to do here, buddy? You see, the Kane can do nothing. He farms slower. Karthus has ganked every lane other than mid lane. He's got global presence with his ultimate. He controlled the dragon and the Herald with excellent tempo swap on his farming direction. Kane can do nothing. So if you do this properly with Karthus, you can win and get master tier really, really, really easily. But, you know, make sure your farming is done properly, yeah? Now, we finish off rewarding ourselves with a bot lane take by taking another dragon. And now we're going to go and do the blue side. Obviously, because rewarding ourselves. And we're going to look to maybe go top side here to swap direction again. But you could stay out. But we do have a substantial amount of gold. And because we see Kayn shadowing on the top side here, going for the Akshan split push, Kayn is going to stay out. He's going to shadow the situation, because we also have Leona moving, right? So you basically want to reactively path here to the situation, if it's not totally doomed. Now, we do see here Volibear coming in with the Unleashed teleport. It just hit 14 minutes, so you have to track those things as well. And Canyon is basically saying, well, I have ult, so I'm going to keep farming. I'm going to keep farming because I have ult, and that's the beauty of Karthus. Here we go. Ult is pressed, kill is secured. I'm sorry we don't see the animation, I can't control it. Flash burn from the Nautilus again, the burn damage from the Andrews doing work. So you can farm while having that impact while shadowing. If he did need to rotate without his ultimate, he would have, and then you can finish off your camps and reset. But it was perfectly played. And this sequence, right, everything he did, W is activated here. Veigar, I don't think you're having fun, and I think you're not having fun. To phrase it correctly both ways. Samira, also not really. So, in terms of total farming control and Karthus gaming, how do we win this game? Setting the template for our clears, and then obviously this play here for the Herald maximization and then the finish sequence by shadowing really is what gets us this 3-level lead. No jungler can match it. No jungler can match it. This champion is busted if you have good first clears and you get that tempo advantage. End of story. Really. Now we do have a lot of gold, 3.4k, so don't stay out don't stay out longer at this point. The reactive pathing and so on with your lead is fine, but you don't want to waste time staying out when you've got 4k almost in the bank, because even if your team dies, you can't control that, right? You just can't control that. So we go back to base, we get a Shadow Flame, we buy a needlessly large rod, and there's going to be a needless amount of damage. Thank you, Akshan. He's pathing top to bottom now, basically. This is how that was set up. We'll just catch the wave here, rotate to the situation. If you need it, you need it. If you're not, you're not. Reward yourself with a Herald. Or if you see someone in their jungle, go kill them. That works as well. She's cut off here. Yeah, good angle of approach. Out of position. Plant hit. Thank you, Leona. W. And now you die. I mean, she still almost killed Akshan, actually. But this is a huge thing about picking things with CC and also maximizing your damage in your lead, because if you were a little bit weaker than you were in this particular situation, maybe Akshan dies. So using your strength properly is very, very important. Now, Kayn, of course, can do literally nothing. Nautilus is going to the mid lane. I mean, I always talk about controlling games by impacting lanes, controlling your farm, obviously, very well. Nice ult from the Karthus, and denying the enemy jungler. But the denial of enemy jungler comes very much so from your lead into moving into the jungle, cutting them off, counter-ganking, stopping them from existing, right? The thing is, they just surrendered the game. The thing is, the way Canyon does it with Karthus here, it's just through farming tempo control and making sure that he swaps in the directions that are necessary for him to win the game. So a little less humor in this game, really. I mean, I'm just focused on explaining how good this jungling can be for you, and hopefully you agree. Okay, and now we're jumping into the game where, everyone's equal in gold, and Karthus is kind of fed, but we have First Strike and Ludens instead of Harvest and Leandries, and you can take a quick lay of the land, 14-14, 33k, 33k, very, very equal. So if you do the same thing, maybe you die once or twice, right? This guy obviously died twice, but you're still high impact with KP, you still have high farming potential, 132 versus 99 on the Rengar. How do we close out the game if we were in the Canyon situation and they didn't surrender? That's what I wanted to show you with this one. Also the benefits of First Strike. Have a look here. 553 gold, and if you're a treasure hunter, we'd have a further 550, so an extra K, 1k, excuse me, total, which means it's almost a needlessly large rod. However, we went with bone plating, overgrowth, and exhaust, because Rengar. So what we have here is two people in the mid lane, one on the top, one on the bottom. So you have a 1-3-1 setup as Karthus, which isn't always ideal when you want to sequence, but join your team, okay? Sequence outside in. So if you leave the base here and Krugs are up, and you want to join your team, and you need to farm and nothing's really happening, you want to farm in the direction of your team, so that when Rengar does ult, you can be there to collapse, which of course we are. Janna ult, the bane of all Rengar players, still able to get the kill. We have Exhaust not up at this point. Yone, good flank from the 1-3-1 position. Riven can keep pressurizing because it doesn't really matter. So just make sure you are shadowing and pathing in a direction that allows you to get to your team in bad situations. Now, both is better. If you did this and this, you wouldn't be able to rotate to the situation. Riven's not collapsing in the mid lane. We can depressurize this very much so. Akali, why are you in the red side jungle? An over-pushing ADC, because he kept doing that beyond vision line. And he shouldn't have. But what did the Karthus do about that? Did he care about that? Should you care about that? Is the ADC dying by over-pushing past the vision line there gonna cost you games and not let you get gold, platinum, diamond, master? Also no. Focus on your own business. Full sequence your camps, when dragon's up, take the dragon. If they're all repressurized, thanks to the Riven, like the Riven's way too deep. And the Yone's helping. Here we go. For a moment, it looked impressive. And then it was unimpressive. Does Karthus care? No. He doesn't. He uses ult, but he's going to do the dragon and farm his camps, catch waves on towers. Here we go. This is all you're looking to do. Keep getting strong. Get 18 as fast as you can. Yes, you can split push, but again, in a 1-3-1 situation, you don't want to be bottom lane here while your team is being completely rinsed. This is not good. Again, it's the Ezreal against a Rengar. What do you want him to do? Handle your business and you will be strong enough to carry the game. I promise you. I promise you. We do need Zhonya's in this game, which we have. We do need Needlessly Large Rod, which we have. So we're pretty damn strong at the moment. Now, again, Outside in is what we want to do, but because top lane is being pushed, we're going to hold this wave, which we do. Rumble moves up to ward. Riven's on the bottom lane killing the Akali. We see the Karma here, which means 2 bot. We see Rengar here, which means 3 bot. Janna is here to disengage. Thank you very much. And what are we doing? We see the Rumble. We can 2v1 collapse onto this. Look for the numbers advantage always. He walked into it. It's exactly what we want to do. Hey, my hair's coming loose. Okay. It was actually coming loose. I can feel it. It runs forward. Not much hair left, but what is there I feel very intimately. Alright, now they did manage to do stuff on the bottom lane. If you collapse onto the person who's over pushing using your numbers advantage, that's fine. Your team handled their business. If they do and they don't, it doesn't really matter, because this is what you can do. If you have one person in communication with you or one person who's playing well, Yone, you can easily do Barons in this particular situation. However, I think this is getting a little bit dicey. You know, it's always great in theory to two-man a Baron, but you really have to trust that everyone can handle themselves. Like in Season 7, I would run a Warwick with Trinity top lane, and we would two-man Baron at 20 minutes every single game. It was really, really funny. In this case, Yone doesn't have the full lifesteal yet to be able to handle that, and of course everyone was a little bit low. Riven's overcommitting, we see this, we press R, it's huge. It's tough to commentate a Karthus because I want to keep the camera on the champion so you can watch what he's doing. But you need to look macro, so you need to look at the frames and look in the minimap to see the battles going forward. Because you get so much gold by pressing Alt. Okay, we'll look at it again. What were we at? 525 when we started? What are we at now? 851. So that gold is going to keep giving, keep on giving, and keep on giving. It's not a huge amount at this stage, because we're definitely a bit more hands-off in terms of controlling the map, but obviously it's a very, very... Okay, wait. We didn't get it. That was not a good Ezreal ult. Granted, I think he's upset and tilted that he has to play alone against a Rengar with a Janna. And your team isn't really set up for... I mean, it's a really good 5v5, but you have a really good 1-3-1 setup as well. Regardless, what did he do? Mid lane is usually where the action is going to be here. Everyone's dead here. We're going to go outside in so we can collapse into the mid lane and then look to flex whatever direction we need. Again, so that's mid-game farming, late-game farming. Basic strategy. Now, Janna's just come out of base, waiting for Riven to respawn, so are we looking to fight at this point? No. Ezreal, does he care? No, he doesn't care either, and this is exactly what I'm saying. See this? We went outside, he got collapsed, what could we do? Nada. Nada, nada, nada. But we're pathing inside, so if he was just a bit more intelligent and a bit more restrained, we would be pathing towards him. So if he was getting caught up now, we could do something about it. And when you're farming jungler, you have to keep this farming tempo up and this directional farming up, because you cannot afford to not farm. You cannot afford to run out of gold, essentially. And you cannot afford to just sit tight in the mid lane while your Ezreal dies. So let him do his own thing. If he plays properly around you and you path correctly and farm correctly, you will always be there for your ADC. Not in this particular situation, but because we ran straight out of base to the mid lane, we can try. And again, people are getting caught out. Riven is trying her best, but she cannot. Again, is this Karthus' fault? No, it is not. Dragon is spawning now, unfortunately, but because we can handle ourselves 1v1, this is the most important thing. Mechanics need to be good. Handle yourselves 1v1 as Karthus. Okay? We do have Ludens, we have a lot of damage with Shadow Flame, we have a lot of damage overall. Great Zhonya's, and even if we die, we're not really dead, are we? Thank you, Ezreal. You did one good thing since we started this replay. Press Alt, shut down on the Rengar. Excellent. Excellent, you see? I love a good Karthus in a 1v1. I mean, it's annoying to face. And Zhonya's is frustrating, but let's be honest. The Karthus is 926. Luden's bonus damage at this point is 2,755. So those of you... Oh, you can't even see that. For those of you, trust me, for those of you who are like, no, First Strike is shit, Dark Harvest only, or Liandry's is the way, and Luden sucks. First Strike Ludens, play it once, and then tell me how you feel about it. I'm not going to get into the Karthus war, because there's been pretty much a war on this kind of stuff. Obviously here the kill on the Akali and on the Rengar with your ultimate there is so big, your whole team is spawned, you can go straight to the objective with this respawn timer advantage. Just make sure you hit your smite. Yone, excellent turn. Excellent, excellent turn. We have it and now we can join him. Perfectly done. So you see a lot of this mid-game, while being a fit Karthus, is not difficult in theory, right? It's pretty straightforward, but it requires a lot of restraint. If you overcommit or go the wrong way, you worry too much about your ADC, like in this situation, you're going to end up losing games. Just keep on getting 16, important 16, and then getting 18 and getting full build. We do have Mejai's here as well. So we're going to get stronger as the fight goes on. I mean, do you really want to take that, Akali? I don't think you do. I mean, at this point, I feel bad for Karthus because the Ravenous Hunter was so good on him. Oh, the Draven ult, man, just let me base. But as you can see, you don't really need it, especially with Exhaust. The Exhaust tech is so good. Alright, we back to base here with Baron because our team can push top wave. We can easily handle most 1v1 scenarios, 1000 gold, almost 957. So we're going to go back to base and deal with this Draven. Hello Draven, we missed our W unfortunately, we missed that first Q, we missed the second Q, we missed the third Q, and even so, he still dies. He still dies. Luden's damage, 3,306. That's so funny. That's absolutely so funny. I wish they would fix those glitches. And because you do that, from a macro point of view, right, your team can handle the Baron and take an inhib. So, play around your team. It's important. I know it's difficult to do, but I have coaching VODs on my Patreon, I have coaching signups on my Patreon, and I talk a lot about playing around your team in silver, bronze, gold, and platinum. Especially as Diana, for example, where you can split push. So we talk, the most recent upload deals with Diana and split pushing in games where you might want to be a bit more detached from your team. You can do that as well, but with Karthus, obviously not. You could, but we're not mid lane Karthus. We're jungle Karthus, we need our smite around Barons and Heralds, and we don't have TP. However, because we took this, and the next dragon is going to be Sol, we want to go out of base, kill the Rengar for overcommitting himself, finally some, well, I was going to say karma, but that's a bit on the nose, but I mean it literally. And then now we can just push on down to the bottom lane. Get that down. Top inhib down is great for Dragon. Bot inhib down is great for Baron. So between that, you can run it down mid lane afterwards, as long as you have good sideline pressure. So we're taking this, we still have Baron up, we're shadowing in, we're cutting in, we're getting good wards, and now we're just group fighting. But we weren't group fighting a lot this game, which is why closing out games as a Fed Karthus can be tricky, but it requires a lot of patience and good outside in farming towards the mid lane if you're joining your team in the mid lane. If your team is on the outside, then yes, you can go Raptors, Krugs to the outside, but that's very rarely going to be the case. Use your Baron, use your damage, close it out. And of course, you still have your ult in pocket. So you're seeing from both of these games, the first half of this game is really irrelevant because if you play it like the Canyon game, you could end up in this situation just as easily. Ult comes down. This Rengar wasn't really doing much other than killing Ezreal, so remember? Hit towers, do damage to towers, control objectives, farm beautifully. And hopefully that's a great quick example, 25 to 30 minute example of how you can get fed on Karthus, how you can play Karthus, how you can play any farming jungler, and control the map while denying the enemy jungler, while not even fighting them 1v1. Thank you very much for watching, hope you enjoyed and learned something. Don't forget, as I said, Patreon coaching is all available there, main channel has effects and shorter form content, and join us in the Discord. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, I'll see you all in the next tutorial.